Hello, welcome to Living with Intent. In today's video, I'd like to talk about fatty liver disease. This is a disease that inflicts many millions of people in the US, tens of millions of people in the US, and I'm sure a whole lot more worldwide, so it's not confined just to the US. But the other frightening part is there are many people who have fatty liver disease, but they don't know it because either they haven't had it tested, or whoever they've gone to has not asked for that to be tested, so they don't know to test for fatty liver disease. Now, this is not one of those kinds of diseases where it's a money-making racket. The reason I'm talking about fatty liver disease is because, one, most people inflicted with this disease are children to young adults, and of course a lot of us in our older years as well. But the scary part is the children and the young adults. These are people who either are going undetected or actually have been detected. The number one cause for a liver transplant here in the US is due to fatty liver disease, and then that disease progressing, and I'll talk about the progression. Should you care to test for whether you have fatty liver disease or not? Yes, if you're eating carbohydrates, by carbohydrates I don't mean vegetables but other grains, family and other vegetables, starchy vegetables. If you drink a lot of soda, with sugar in it, and probably with aspartame, I'm not sure. I know aspartame has a whole other host of issues, but essentially if your diet is not a really good low carbohydrate diet, you need to have it tested. Now, the tests don't cost a whole lot. They're essentially, when you go for a liver function test, there are 3 enzymes that are tested: ALT, AST, and ALP. Don't ask me for the pronunciation of these, the full form. Essentially, these are enzymes, and most enzymes end with the word ACE. Now, the liver function tests don't include another very important test called the GGT test. This is gamma-glutamyl transpeptidase, which is actually one of the more important tests to do. And I find it really surprising that the standard liver function test does not include this. And I think I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but given the kind of thing the GGT test is going to tell you, I'm surprised why it's not included as part of your standard liver function test. The GGT tests in the US cost about $100, but I'm not sure if you get it all done together. But really, the GGT test is the one that you want to get done. The standard liver function tests, if the enzymes are higher than normal, that's just indicative of a problem, and you already have a problem. But it's not giving you a really good idea as to what it is. And along with the liver function test, the 3 enzymes, you can also get your bilirubin and albumin tested. Bilirubin is essentially, if it's high, you are jaundiced. You got either dark urine, yellowish colored, the white of the eyes. Your skin can also turn yellowish if it's really severe. Albumin is used for kind of like a blood clotting agent, so it maintains certain pressures within the capillaries and things to ensure that blood doesn't leak out of the capillaries. So any of these things are out of whack, there's certainly indication of something wrong. But the GGT test and even the other enzymes are indicative of the fact that you have fatty liver disease. So if you haven't done this yet, I recommend you should just, why not? If you don't know, maybe you should find out. The liver liver is the most important organ in the sense that it is performing really complicated chemical operations, unlike, let's say, the heart, which is essentially a pump, and we have replaced the heart with mechanical pumps, or where we provide the existing heart with pulses electronically to get it to continue to beat correctly with a certain rhythm, etc. So it's just a pump for the most part. The liver is extremely vital to our health, and it's, I guess, aptly named liver, as in it allows you to live. It performs the majority or all of the detoxification of anything that we ingest. And pretty much everything we eat is at some point shunted through the liver, and the liver sort of detoxifies and cleans it up. Now, there are certain things that will affect the liver very severely. That is fructose and alcohol. So if you're a drinker, alcohol drinker, if you have a lot of sugar, now sugar, but when I say sugar in this case, I'm talking about our table sugar, sucrose, I think it's called. Yes. Our table sugar. Table sugar is comprised of 50% glucose and 50% fructose. So the fructose component is sent straight to the liver to get detoxified. Fructose is not something the body likes. Fructose is also found in fruits. So if you have a lot of fruits, you're going to get to that. I know people who love fruits will justify it, saying, oh, it's only a fruit, is God's gift to mankind. No, it's not. The plant does not exist for our sake. At least that's my opinion, and there's a lot of people think in those terms. Plants also have a reason to exist. They also are trying to procreate, and they're certainly not trying to do us a favor by existing on this planet and to provide us with these nice, colorful, sweet fruits. But that's another topic. So fructose and alcohol, as I said, are the primary reasons, only because of our diets the way they are today, for the cause of fatty liver. So fructose can come from high fructose corn syrup, which is in pretty much every packaged food you can find, at least here in the stores. It comes in, of course, colas, pops, stuff like that, sodas, and of course from table sugar. So if you eat a lot of dessert or regular dessert, doesn't have to be a lot. The thing is, it's over a period of time. Now, younger kids, I'm guessing they just have a bad diet. They're constantly having sodas and snacks, and that's the other thing. The more frequently you eat, the more you're going to be damaging your liver with regards to fatty liver. So if you're not eating just 3 meals a day, and when I say eat, I mean anything, any snack. Right? So if you're eating too often, that's taxing the liver more frequently than it needs to be taxed. It's not able to handle already all the garbage we throw at it, and then it's just constantly in this mode of trying to clean up. Fatty liver disease is the first stage of a problem in the liver. Now, what I found really surprising is I've had people who come and tell me just casually, my son or my daughter has been diagnosed with fatty liver disease. This daughter and son are like anywhere from 6 years old to young teenagers. And apparently the doctor doesn't say much. Now, well, actually the doctors do say something. They say, eat less fat. Your child has fatty liver disease, so you should eat less fat. This is what the doctors tell you. I kid you not. Man, I wish I went to medical school. No, I don't. I can hardly pronounce these words of these enzymes. So the frightening part is people who have been diagnosed with fatty liver disease have not been told the severity of their issue. It's a very casual thing. Just don't eat less fat, or don't give your child, or don't have so much soda. What they're not telling you is that once this disease has manifested, this is a runaway train. This is not going to stop all by itself. It's not going to stop because you reduce certain things. No one has ever been able to just stop it or slow it down. As in, this is a curable thing. But when somebody tells you just don't have so much, well, what? I mean, if you have like 5 sodas a day, what is a good number? 3, 2, it's a crapshoot. So you have to modify your diet very drastically, especially for children. Now, children, let me back up a little bit. Fatty liver disease is also an offshoot, if you will, or the reason for it. The original source of the problem is insulin resistance. I've talked about that in another video. If you haven't seen that video, please go watch that video so you understand this one. So the precursor to fatty liver disease is insulin resistance. If you haven't tested yourself for whether you're insulin resistant or not, you should probably do that now. The real test, if I remember correctly in that video I mentioned, is to test your insulin. It's not the sugar. It's hyperinsulinemia. Too much insulin in the blood. And there are various forms of this, in the sense you can have a very high fasted insulin, but most people actually they don't have a high fasted insulin. But once postprandial, meaning once they've eaten or drunk a sugary drink, and this has to be sugar, not fructose, because insulin does not react to fructose. That's not to say fructose is good, but insulin reacts to glucose. It has to be sugar, and a drink, so it reacts very quickly. The postprandial insulin levels are over the top, and that's the clear indication of hyperinsulinemia, meaning your body needs a whole lot more insulin to get that sugar down. Right? So essentially, you're insulin resistant. The body's starting to become insulin resistant, so the pancreas have to produce more and more insulin to counter the blood sugar in your body, in your blood, and so it takes more and more insulin. At some point, even that doesn't help, but essentially, that's the indication of insulin resistance. So if you haven't gotten yourself tested for insulin resistance, please do that as well. Now, I'm not a big fan of tests and all that, but I'm just saying, most people don't believe they have it. They hope they don't have it. I mean, I used to be that way, I wouldn't even go to the doctor. I didn't want to know. But these are simple tests, and I think you, either for your child you want to know, or for yourself you want to know, or any friends, family members you want to know. And these are simple tests, so be sure, or if you're insulin resistant, then you're going to get fatty liver disease unless you address it, and many a host of other diseases I mentioned in that video as well. But going back to fatty liver disease, once you have fatty liver disease, it can then progress to NASH. So fatty liver disease is for two reasons. One is if you're an alcoholic, and the other is if you are having too much fructose. Or too many carbohydrates, especially the refined carbohydrates. Now, what is a refined carbohydrate? Well, if you're having anything with grains, it's refined. Grains by themselves are a seed. If you eat the seed, you just come right out as it is. So if you've refined it, it's refined. So lots of pastas, rice, a whole breads, cakes, pastries, stuff like that. Anything to do with grains. And potatoes, stuff like that, starchy vegetables, grains, lots of milk, there's lots of sugar in there, and of course sugar, anything that has sugar in it. So just to go back a little bit, fatty liver disease is not caused by too much fat, it's caused by too much carbohydrate, too much refined carbohydrates, and alcohol, and probably even too many fruits. People don't like to hear this, but it's not like the liver is going to have a special treatment for the fructose from fruits versus the fructose from sugar. It's fructose. And there's no way for the body to neutralize fructose. The only way it knows to neutralize fructose is to damage. So while trying to neutralize fructose, the liver is getting damaged. If you have fruits often, then the liver is just getting damaged and damaged and damaged. It's not able to recover. If you have fruits once in a while, like we used to as caveman, we had fruits during just before winter, and then for the rest of the time we didn't, and even those fruits were like these tiny little things that were not even so sweet. So the damage was hardly any, and then because you're not eating it, it's not a regular part of your diet, the liver ends up starting to heal. But a relentless onslaught of this stuff is going to cause damage. So fatty liver is two kinds. There's the alcoholics. So it used to be called fatty liver disease, and then they started finding out that most people that are coming in here are not even alcoholics. So what's causing it? So they called it non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, whatever the acronym ends up being. And then the progression from fatty liver disease is called NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, N-A-S-H. And then it goes further into liver fibrosis and finally cirrhosis. Cirrhosis of the liver is almost complete damage. So again, fatty liver diseases and all the progressions of liver disease is essentially stemming from insulin resistance. and refined carbohydrates, and even omega-6s. By the way, omega-6s are the oils from vegetables mainly. So if you have too much of those oils, you cook in those oils, then that can also aggravate the fatty liver condition or kick it off, assist with creating fatty liver disease. And one of the other symptoms of fatty liver disease, if you're looking at some other tests without even knowing about the fatty liver disease, is atherogenic dyslipidemia, which is essentially your triglycerides and the ratios of total LDL, total cholesterol to HDL, and triglycerides to HDL. So it's not LDL, please. LDL is no longer, or cholesterol by itself is no longer a problem. I know there's many doctors who don't know this. They're not keeping up with new science. But it's the oxidized LDL particles. Okay, so I'll make another video on this, but just, if you've done a test and you're looking at your numbers, they say LDL is the bad cholesterol, HDL is the good cholesterol. No, they're both cholesterol. Good, bad is not really an issue. It's bad when it's oxidized, but unfortunately the standard blood tests don't test for oxidized LDL. They're just doing particle count, which is also manual, by the way. It's not like there's some machine that counts the particles. Hey, you got so much. If you are interested in doing a cholesterol test, the right test to do for cholesterol is the NMR lipoprotein test, which is the test that will test for how much of your cholesterol is oxidized. But atherogenic dyslipidemia is telling you, and it's it's telling you that your triglycerides and the ratios between triglycerides and HDL and total cholesterol and HDL is gone out of whack, and now you're starting to get heart disease. Most idiopathic hypertension, high blood pressure, is caused due to insulin resistance. So these are all kind of indicating that that you are insulin resistant, and from that point forward everything starts to happen. So high blood pressure is also one of those things, and it all stems from the same root cause. So if you fix the root cause, then you won't have these issues. But what I'm trying to stress here is fatty liver disease is nothing to take casually. Unfortunately, the doctors, they make it, and they do the same with diabetes. Oh yeah, just cut out the the sugar. What's the real problem? Anyway, I won't get into that. So, and one of the things I found out recently was the life insurance companies. Now, if you don't know about insurance companies, imagine their business. Their business is to make sure that they can insure you, but at the same time, they're not actually interested in having to insure you, if you know what I mean. They're not interested in having to pay out. So they pick and choose who to insure. And they have a lot of statistical information they use to do the math and the calculation, the models that they produce from that. These models are not governed by what you and I think. They're not governed by what the pharmaceutical or the medical industry or fields think. It's just numbers, right? It's purely numbers based. They have scientific models they produce to then determine whether they should underwrite this insurance or not. So are you a high risk person or not? All right. So one of the things they've done in the US at least is slight deviation. People who are younger than 25 have a higher insurance rate because, again, it's the stats. They know that people who are younger are more reckless. Apparently, you're only mature past 25, at least as per their data that they have. So people that are older than 25, their insurance rates drop because they are considered more responsible, and those below 25 are considered more risky. So the premiums go up. That's kind of how insurance companies work. But in this case, life insurance companies have decided, of all the things you could possibly test in the human body and of all the possible tests you have today, they decided to rank the GGT test, the one I talked about earlier, the highest. If your GGT score is higher than 15, but if it's 15 and below, you're in good shape. If it's higher than 15, you're not. Some people have it in the thousands, can you imagine? Life insurance companies value the GGT test as the top ranking test to determine if they want to underwrite your insurance or not. It's the same test that is not part of your standard liver function test. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so that's the other information I wanted to give you today in this talk. Please have your liver functions tested. Please have the GGT test done. And if you don't know about insulin resistance, have that test done as well. And then you can cure fatty liver disease. How do you cure it? It's always the same answer. Low carbohydrate, high fat, good fat. When I say high fat, I don't mean trans fats. Fat. So cook. I don't know if I mentioned this. Always cook your foods in coconut oil or clarified butter, ghee or clarified butter. All the other oils, the vegetables oils, please just stop using them. Always cook in these two saturated fats. Maybe you could use palm oil as well, but I've never done it, so I don't know how that tastes. So stop cooking in any oil but these two oils, and go on a low carbohydrate. So you can have vegetables, green leafy vegetables, but not the starchy ones. You don't want to have potatoes, and beetroot and carrot and these sort of things. Get off the other carbs and sugars and the colas, pop, soda pop, whatever you want to call those things, those drinks. And the other thing that's very important that people don't talk about is eat less often. What do I mean by eat less often? What I consider eating. When I say eat, anything that you put in your mouth that has calories, right? So if it's a snack, it's a little piece of carrot, one of those baby carrots. It doesn't matter, it's eating. Eat less often. So if you want to stick to 3 meals a day, that's fine. I mean, if you can't make it less than 3 meals, then stick to just 3 meals. Tea, coffee with cream is calories. I'm not harping on the calories part, but anything that has calories in it is considered eating. So when I say eat less often, just don't eat more than 3 meals a day. So the snacking, especially for kids, I see, they come home from school and I want a snack. It just needs to stop. There's no need for them to have snacks. They can have a full-out meal if they come back from school and they're hungry. Give them a full-out meal. Let them eat as much as they want of the good stuff, but no snacking. And as adults, same thing, no snacking. Because snacking is the other aggravator, if you will. I think most of us have health issues and weight issues because of the snacking. It's not so much, certainly the food we eat is a cause. But so clean up your diet, reduce the carbs, reduce the starchy vegetables, increase the good fats, fatty meats, cook in coconut oil and clarified butter or ghee. Add more fatty fish to your diet if you're a non-vegetarian, eggs. All these things are good. Just remove the refined carbs and the sugars and the starchy vegetables and the sodas and things like that. Anything that is a liquid calorie, take it out. And I hope this video has been helpful. And I hope you're looking forward to the next videos. Thank you for watching. If you like these kinds of videos, please subscribe and hit the notify icon. And I will see you next time.